Okay, so the first batch of stuff's done, so we're going to do, we got some of these scraps that are left over from those cut-offs. Obviously we have more cut-offs over here in this mess of a shop. So we're going to build some more stuff. I'll maybe try to do a couple charcuterie boards. Maybe I'm going to do a couple American flags with some oak I have left. And maybe some pine, poplar, depending on how much I have to calculate it. And then I'm going to do a couple noodle boards, hopefully. Maybe a couple little stools or tables, too. Just something small that could fit into an area. The rest of the stuff I'll just have pictures of. If people want to order, they can order at the market. And I'll have my website handy and everything with cards. It's going to be important. So this wood here, it's all scrap wood. It's maple, some teak, obviously walnut, some cherry. So we're going to see if we can make some stuff out of this. We're going to cut this up and try to design something. If I get one or two pieces out of this, that's wood I would burn. So if I could sell it, that's profits. Okay, so this project, I'm going to start with the milling process. A lot of this wood is partially milled up already, so I don't have to go crazy with this. I'm just going to start trimming it down. Some of the stuff already went to the jointer, even a planer, since it was milled up for other projects. But we're just going to cut to some final width here, and then we'll start cutting the final sizes and things like that nature. And then we'll start seeing what we have, because that will dictate the size of the boards that we're going to be making, and the size of our coasters and how many, and everything like that. Because we're going to cut some boards up, cutting boards, and at least 2 charcuterie boards, and then whatever's left over from those scraps we'll make some coasters out of. So I'm going to do one more like 13 by 13 cutting board. It's going to be a small one, I'll sell cheap. And then I'm going to try to do 2 charcuterie boards out of this here. I'm going to glue this up. It's all maple, walnut, cherry. This is maple, walnut, and teak. So we're going to cut these up next, and then we'll go from there. Okay, in part 2 or phase 2, whatever we'd like to call this, for this Operation Craft Show / Scraps the Cash / Trash the Cash, whatever you want to call this. You still have to, take your time here and be precise with all your cuts, and still have to be careful and conscious that you're still using power tools. Sometimes projects like this are harder than working with furniture, since you're cutting such small, thin pieces and small pieces through big power tools. So just keep that in mind. So this process here is going to be pretty much the same as most cutting board and craft projects. You're going to be milling up, cutting up, and cleaning up for the most part, and that's what we're doing here. So we're just going to cut up, mill up, and we're gluing up, laminating here the charcuterie boards and the one cutting board that we're doing. And what's left from these scraps we'll then use for a couple, or at least one set of coasters, if not more. So here we're going to start cutting up some templates for the charcuterie boards. We're going to use this 1/2 inch MDF that I have left over. Like I said, everything from this project is pretty much leftover parts and pieces from other projects. So far I really hadn't spent any money. Even glue I had so far, I still had a gallon of glue from another project that I had left over. So everything so far has been pretty much cost neutral, besides my labor. So we're just going to keep that in consideration when I start adding up the cost for this. So here we're just going to mark out our template and cut it out with a jigsaw. Eventually I'll just get a design, because we're going to have 2 different templates here, since we're going to have 2 different size charcuterie boards. And also keep in mind too, with things like this, is we're going to be cutting a lot of smaller pieces later, especially soap dishes, so we have to really be careful here with the big tools. So just keep that in mind also. Sometimes these are more dangerous, working with smaller pieces than cutting up big lumber through your tools, so your hands aren't as close to the blades. That makes sense. Alright, so here's we're just going to start cutting up the jigsaw here. Nothing special. I just drew out a design, going to cut it, and then we're going to use this as our template for the router table later. So in the meantime here, I'm taking these scrap pieces from the the cutting boards here, and we're going to make at least 1 set of coasters here. So while we're waiting for the charcuterie boards and everything to dry up, we're going to we're going to glue up a set of coasters. So now it's the next day. So the charcuterie boards are glued up and dry. So now we're going to start cleaning these up, and then we're going to run them to the router table. So we're just cutting everything, all of these charcuterie boards up outside the lines with the jigsaw, outside the lines of the template, so we can go take it to the router table next and just do a flush trim with a 1/2 inch flush trim bit, and we're just going to use some double-sided tape to put the templates on. So here I'm just going to put a little hole in. I think it's a 1 inch hole, and this is going to be for the grab handle for these charcuterie boards, and we're just going to run a chamfer on each side around the hole later to clean them up, so soften the edges. So some of these boards, they have couple little like not checks, but like a couple little knots and little divots here. We're going to fill in with some Total Boat epoxy with the hardener resin, and we're just going to mix some black dye in here just to give it a nice little pop to it. And then when we sand these down finally, you barely will see these little marks here. I don't like putting epoxy on stuff that may be used for cutting boards, but these typically are used for serving trays and things. So they're supposedly food safe, but I don't typically like doing this. But these have some knots and stuff that I just wasn't happy with. So we're gonna just clean these up and do the best we can with this. So now while we're waiting for this epoxy to dry on the charcuterie boards, we're gonna revisit these coasters now. We're gonna use our sled here, just cut the final length on these guys and clean these up, and these will be ready, this set of coasters. We're going to be making a lot of these. You'll see this step a lot in a lot of these videos that we're going to be making, since we're going to be making coasters with a lot of cutoffs from other, like I said, from other cutoffs. So we may have, you know, up to 10 sets of coasters. And if I sell them, great. If not, I usually give these away as gifts. People buy big orders. So even the cutting boards, I'll typically give away too. I don't sell a lot of these, but if we sell them, that's a bonus. So that's what we're going to do here. So now we're going to just clean everything up, run the chamfer on this cutting board, and then we're going to run the chamfer on the charcuterie boards also too, to soften the edges. So that's where we're at with this. So we're cleaning this up. We're getting towards the end of some of this stuff here.
This is a very rustic board with maple, some walnut here, and also some old teak that was from like an old barn house. That's some old scrap wood. It's a smaller board. Mainly it would be used like a cheese board or something. But he could use it as a small cutting board, like a travel board or something. I know I sell a lot of these. Well, not a lot, but I sell a few of these to people that have like campers and stuff. You know, take them out in the woods or whatever. Alright, so this one's done.
Okay, so this is the nerve-wracking part of this project. So here we're going to be making some soap dishes out of some white oak we had left over. You see these are very small pieces, you know, going through, you know, powerful tools, so you got to be very careful. Using the sled here to hold down the wood going through ripping through the table saw. But now the miter saw, I'm just going to try to hold it with a pencil or something just to keep it nice and tight against the fence. And you see here, these are very small pieces. So here we're going to be cutting a groove in the bottom of these tiny pieces on the table saw. So this is, you know, pretty nerve-wracking, like I said, but at least the blade's not coming through, so it makes it a little better. So we're just going to use this little push down here and just hold it down. And just, you know, now we're just going to run everything through the planer, get everything nice to the final dimensions. These are going to be slats on the bottom, so these are going to be cut on the table saw too. So this is, it's going to be like cutting like little trim pieces, really, essentially. So that's all we're doing here. So we're going to put these together, just some glue and a couple of small brad nails after we get everything cut up. I really wanted to miter these, put them together with the brad nails and glue, but I just didn't feel safe, really, even with the sled, with these such small pieces, you know, like 3 inches long. I don't like pushing them through table saws, and I definitely didn't want to run through the miter saw. I know it could be done, but I just, you know, I felt like it was just going to be safer doing it this way. It might not look as good, but when it's all cleaned up and rounded off, they come out pretty nice. Just one of those things for me. Is it worth the, you know, the $12 I'm going to be selling these things for? To, you know, to possibly lose a finger or you know, have something kick back on you, hit you in the face, whatever. You know, it just to me, it just wasn't worth it doing it this way. So here we're just going to mock up how they're, you know, we're going to put these slats in, make sure they all fit, and we're just going to use some glue, like I said, a couple of little brad nails on each corner just to hold these in. Nothing real fancy, but they come out pretty nice. I like these. This is the first time doing these for me, so. You know, it was definitely a learning experience. So I'm cleaning these up, running the chamfers, sanding, pretty much finishing up this project. Keep in mind, it's about 97 degrees the last few days here. It's been very hot for early September here, so it's been boiling. So this has not been as fun as I would like. You can see the epoxy cleaned up real nice compared to state after we ran it through the planer one more time and then just sanded them down to the final 120 grit. Like I said, I was going to run a chamfer all the slots here and around all the edges to soften everything up and make them look clean. Here I'm just going to put like a little angle and then drill another hole and just give a little fancy look to this so they can hang it, like if they're going to put it in a camper or something like that, or small little cutting board like this, they could just hang up somewhere, and it just it's a nice little touch. And I just like doing stuff like this sometimes to make them look a little different. Some have handles on them, some won't. Some have the rubber feet, some have little stick-on feet. So we're just doing everything, try to make it a little different, and the more detailed, the more you could charge too. So keep that in mind. So, like I said, the wood here, the scraps, is kind of dictating what we're making here from dimensions base. So now we're just gonna, like I said, clean up everything, and pretty much this project's pretty much done here. If you have any questions, let me know. This is not something I don't do a lot, but I do like doing it when I do. It's definitely fun, and like I said, if you have any questions or concerns, let me know in the comments. And thanks for watching. Go out and build something.